right. Welcome to the National Podcast Post Month 101 Getting Started. My name is Jennifer Navarrete, and National Podcast Post Month, or NaPodPoMo as we know it, is a 30-day podcasting challenge. This is an opportunity for those of us who are interested in audio or interested in podcasting, kind of muck around a little bit to kind of push the buttons, pull the levers, get a sense of what we want to do if we've never podcasted before and we think we're a podcaster, or if we're a seasoned veteran podcaster and we want to try something new. November is a great time to do that in a safe community space. And I really stress that because I think a lot of times when we want to launch something new, we're a little intimidated about what are people going to say and what if I do it wrong and what kind of tech should I use and what kind of tools and what kind of show. And the nice thing about NaPodPoMo is that everybody is trying something new. Everybody is doing something that they're a little bit out or a lot outside of their comfort zone. So it's a kind of a great place to fail fast, get good. And fail fast, get good, it doesn't sound that great. Wait, I don't want to fail fast, but you do want to get good. So in a safe community space, we're all trying something new. So if someone like me who has been podcasting for 17 years is trying something new that I'm uncertain about, then I hope that gives everyone else confidence that if you're approaching podcasting for the first time ever, that it's okay not to know all the things, to figure things out as you go. And a 30-day podcasting challenge is a great way to do it, because if show 1 or show 3 or show 5 are like horrible, terrible, it's a very good, no bad, it's a very bad, no good day, it doesn't actually matter, because the next day there's another episode, and the day after that, and the day after that. It's kind of like a podcasting boot camp to some sense, because you're going to learn very quickly and you're going to develop your show very quickly, and you're going to have an understanding if podcasting is or is not your thing very quickly. So I wanted to do this little 101 to kind of give folks a sense of what to expect. And I'll say that one of the first things I want you to know is that it's not necessarily about the tech. I think I get that question more than anything else, is people are like, well, what kind of tech should I use? What kind of microphone do I need? Where should I put it? And it's all that stuff. And that's always seems to be the barrier to getting started. So I want you to go with the lowest barrier to entry, the low hanging fruit, just so easy. If you've got a smartphone in your possession, you have the production studio in your pocket. You are good to go right now. You don't need anything else. You need to go anywhere else. You need to do anything. And you may be thinking, oh, but Jennifer, are you sure? And I'm like, sure. I'm coming to you right now from a mobile phone. And one of the things I'll tell, and just the earbuds that came with the phone. I have tons of fancy equipment in my studio. Believe me, I do. Got high dollar stuff in here, but I am using right now here on Facebook, I am using the phone that came, the earbuds that came with my phone. And I don't have the latest and greatest phone either. So if you're thinking, oh, of course, maybe Jennifer, you've got the latest and greatest phone. No, I have an iOS XS. So the 10, and I think they're at the 14 now. So no, I don't have the latest and greatest stuff. So even with an older device, you can make a big difference. Now, I will tell you that environment is going to play a big key. If you're going to be recording in the kitchen, it's going to sound really thin and hollow and echoey. If you're going to be recording in a room that has very high cathedral ceilings, it's going to sound kind of thin and echoey. But I will tell you that if you have an iOS device, like an iPhone, and I'm sure Android has this as well, I just don't own an Android to tell you. Right now, I'm talking to you on my phone, as I've said, but if I swipe down to where the little menu pops up on my phone, and for me, it's the top right corner. If I swipe diagonal to the opposite end, the first thing that pops up is it says mic mode standard. Now I am going to click on that button, that feature, and it comes up with standard, voice isolation, and wide spectrum. And I want you to hear the difference in what that sounds like. So right now I'm on standard. I'm about to switch it to voice isolation. Okay, now I'm on voice isolation. Hopefully what has happened is that you are now able to hear less of the room and more of me. And I'm also going to change it to the third option, even though you would never use this, but just you may be going, what's that third option, Jennifer? It's called wide spectrum. Ooh, it won't let me switch with this. Okay, because I'm doing wide spectrum is currently unavailable. Fine. So forget that third one. So voice isolation. So just doing voice isolation changed the way that I sound to you. It's subtle, maybe not so subtle, but it is something that will warm up your sound. So when you're like, well, okay, Jennifer, why are you sharing this with me? Because I want you to have the most confidence in your voice, in what you're going to say. An environment or the little options that you have on your phone can really play a big difference in that. So another thing is that now granted, I am in my room that's treated, but I tell you what I can do. I can actually walk. And I'm going to go back to standard mode, by the way, so you can hear this difference, because voice isolation is actually going to make sure that I sound really great in all of these spaces. Okay, so I'm back to standard mode, and I'm going to walk outside of my studio, and I'm going down the hallway, and I'm going into the living room. Now, this living room has hard floor, has high ceilings, and it's got couches and stuff, but it's a wide, big room. And I'm guessing that you can probably hear the difference in what that sounds like, because it doesn't sound like it did in my studio. This is through standard. Now, in this space that sounds very airy, that sounds big, where you hear a lot of the room, and you still hear me, but you hear more of the room. If I switch this to voice isolation, the voice isolation technology on the phone all of a sudden warms up the sound. So you're hearing less of the room and more of me. These are little things that you can do that don't require expensive equipment, that don't require to do anything except use the production studio in your pocket. Now I'm walking back to my studio, shutting the door, and now I'm back in an area that's more treated, and hopefully you can tell the difference there. So starting there, I still haven't told you anything about NaPodPoMo per se, except for go with the low hanging fruit. Go with something that's really simple. Start with what you own right now in your pocket. Again, I don't have an Android device, but I'm pretty sure Android has something similar to this. Perhaps I will get someone who has an Android to join, so in the future, and we can do an Android only episode, but for now, I'm just giving you the tools that I know about. So that's one thing. So I want to remove the tech as being a barrier to entry. Your phone is your production studio in your pocket. You, my friend, are ready to podcast. And you may be saying, okay, well, all right, I have a phone, Jennifer. I can do it. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I can improve the quality of my sound. I can look at that with the environment. Even if you didn't have the voice isolation aspect of it, again, not big rooms with high ceilings and hard surfaces. So a walk-in closet, if you happen to have a walk-in closet, your walk-in closet is your built-in sound booth in your home. And you may be going, that's kind of weird. This is audio. Nobody's going to see you. So one of the things I always tell folks to do is to test. I want you to record yourself. Just record. Your phone has a voice memo or voice recorder default with it. Just record your voice, just saying, hi, my name is Jennifer and I'm a podcaster, or I'm going to do this challenge for National Podcast Post Month. And then record it in the space that you think you're going to record it in, whether that's a guest bedroom, whether that's a bedroom, that's a kitchen, living room, wherever it is that you're going to do it. And then go into your walk-in closet and say the exact same sentence, record it, and then listen to it back. And you will hear a difference between whatever room it is and your walk-in closet. The walk-in closet, because it has all those wonderful clothes, it buffers the sound waves from bouncing all over the place. And that's where you get that thin, hollow sound, is because the sound waves are just bouncing, 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 and feeding back to you. And another thing to consider is, you're like, well, Jennifer, I live in another country, or I have a house that doesn't have walk-in closet, so bully for you, but not so good for me. You can even stand in front of your regular closet, and your voice will be buffered just by talking into the clothes or facing the clothes. Then you'd be saying, well, that's not going to work for me because I want to be comfy. I don't want to just stand there for all the 30 episodes. And I'd be like, I get you, man. I totally get you. So another thing to consider, and I'll switch back to standard mode for this. Okay, so I'm back in standard mode. So right now, this is me. I want you to hear me. Right now, I am talking, just me, in my studio, which again is treated. So doesn't sound as hollow or thin as the living room did or the hallway did, as much echo. But I can still improve this in standard mode. So if I come over here and I grab I grab a comforter, or I grab a blanket. In this case, I'm actually using like a big, huge towel because it was in my studio. I thought that's something easy. I can grab that. So I just threw this over my head. Again, I'm using the earbuds that came with my phone, so nothing fancy, but I threw this over my head. And I think that you can tell that the audio softened or warmed up, or again, less of the room, more of me. This is in standard mode. So these are little things that you can do. We call this kind of like the blanket fort. When you were a kid, you made blanket forts. Guess what? They're super helpful in the world of audio. So you may say, well, I don't want to sit here with a blanket over my head, Jennifer. That's kind of weird. Okay, I get you. I'm taking the towel off, by the way. Pretty sure you can hear that. And I'm going to go back to voice isolation mode. Okay, so you can build in essence like a makeshift blanket fort for when you're going to do audio if you want. You do not have to. Don't get overwhelmed and feel like, oh, this is a whole lot of stuff to do. The key to NaPodPoMo isn't these things, but because this is like the first thing that everybody asks me or wants to bring up about why they won't do podcasting, it has to do with they don't have the right equipment. And I believe I've showed you that you do not need anything other than your phone. And then they'll say, oh, but I'm not going to sound good because I'm not going to sound like the podcast that I listen to online. I think I just showed you that there are little things that you can do that can make the biggest difference in your audio quality. Now, all of this is just to give you confidence that you are going to sound as good as you can, given the equipment that you have, which is a phone and just the wired earbuds that came with your phone. Or if you have a headset, great, all those good things. If you've got extra tech, fantastic. But if not, go with what came with the device, and it's as simple as that, and that's what I'm illustrating here. So then if you're like, my whole house is hard surfaces and I don't have a walk-in closet, you could create a makeshift blanket fort if you wanted to. But even if you didn't want to, the voice isolation mode in and of itself does do a lot to warm up the sound and kind of decrease the environment and increase your voice. So these are all the things that I always get pushback on, which is why I'm addressing it first. Now, I'm telling you to use your mobile phone. You're like, well, how does that turn into a podcast? That's good to know. Good question. It turns into a podcast by using a podcasting app. And what are those podcasting apps? Well, there is something. I'm actually going to pull this up and post it in the comments here. So there is Podbean has a mobile app. You're like, Podbean, never heard of them. They've been around for a really long time, actually. And they have free and they have paid like anyone else. There's ways to do it for free and there's ways to do it for paid. So, and they have a mobile app. So use the Podbean mobile app. It's easy to use. There's no fuss, no muss. As a matter of fact, I will pull it up and share it in here. That's one way. Another way would be to use something called Spreaker, or use something called Anchor. And you're like, okay, and I'm telling you these things, and I think seasoned podcasters may like groan a little bit, but I'm not telling you that these places have to be your end all be all. This is strictly for the challenge. I'm trying to remove the barriers to entry, and these mobile apps will allow you to podcast, will allow you to have an RSS feed that can be included into the group feed so that you can be part of the conversation within the community. And so that's the thing. The key is not necessarily what tool you're using. This is we're throwing spaghetti against the wall. We're trying something new. We're pushing the buttons. We're pulling the levers. We're trying to develop our show idea, our show flow, our voice, trying to get a sense of this idea that we have, if it really makes sense as a podcast. So use the tools that are out there that exist just to get started. I will say that I did hear yesterday, and if you're someone like me who's big into social audio and you're like, oh, Jennifer, you didn't mention Twitter Spaces or anything else, and because there wasn't a way for that to become an RSS feed simply, what I can tell you what I have done with Twitter Spaces when I do the Walk Talk Challenge is that I download the Twitter Space. I put it into my Hindenburg Journalist Pro. I add in the intro and the outro, get the little hook, and then down and export that, and then upload that to the walktalkchallenge.com, and then that is what feeds to the Apple Podcast, Spotify, the Podcast Index, all the different places that it goes to. But that's a lot of heavy lifting for a 30-day challenge. Not to say that isn't how I do things, but for someone starting out, that's already like, whoa, that's a lot of steps, and I know, and you're going to run in the opposite direction. So I found out that Zealous, ZEALOUS.1, now has the ability to have your Twitter Spaces have an RSS feed that you can submit to wherever you want to submit it. And I can tell you that that blew my mind, because that's always been the big pain point with using Twitter Spaces or social audio, is that there's not an RSS feed associated with it natively. I have to do all those things I just said, because in my case, for the Walk Talk Challenge, the Walk Talk Challenge is a podcast interview show that I do record on Twitter Spaces with women all around the world. We're walking around, I'm walking around my neighborhood in Texas. They're walking around their neighborhood, wherever the heck they live. And they live in all kinds of places in around the world. And I'm recording it inside of Twitter Spaces. And that's the deal, right? You're going to hear birds, you're going to hear cars, you're going to hear dogs barking, you're going to hear sirens, you're going to hear all the things that you would hear outside. It's meant to be that way. I want those things in there because we are both walking and talking about their business goals and challenges, about different things that they're doing in Web3 space or different things that they're doing with their business. So that was the focus. But now, instead of me having to go through all that process, if I wanted to, I could just turn that straight interview into a podcast because Zealous.one now allows you to do an RSS feed. And I don't want this to be an overly pitch for that, and I'll do a Zealous specific one, but this is a big game changer in a way that if you're comfortable with social audio and or you have a social audio show and you're like, oh, I could easily create another show for this for NaPodPoMo, you can, because then you'll be able to submit your RSS feed for inclusion to the larger feed. And you may be saying, well, okay, how does that work? What we're doing right now is we're aggregating all of the individual podcasters' individual RSS feeds. And then I will turn all of those individual feeds into one single NaPodPoMo 2022 mega RSS feed. It'll be all the one feed that has everyone else's feeds in it so that we can subscribe to the one feed that has everyone's feeds in it. And it really makes it easy to keep up with all of your fellow challengers, your NaPodPoMo challengers. So I want you all to think about just the ease of use that we have nowadays. Now, this is year 15. 15 years ago, it was a totally different thing. You actually had to record on your software, on your computer, and go through all those processes that I talked about. And yet we still did it. So there's really no excuse not to participate in NaPodPoMo because the tools are and the way that we can do them is so much easier than it ever has been. So if you have an idea that you've always wanted to podcast, if you want to know if this is something for you, this is a great place again to fail fast, get good, because of the fact that there is a community of folks doing this with you. It isn't just you. It isn't just me. There's a lot of things going on here, and it's global, which is so much fun. So, oh, hey, Carolyn, I didn't realize that you had left. How are you? Oh, she's gone. I guess Facebook audio is being a little wonky. Okay, so NaPodPoMo. What does it take? I think I've shown you. Your mobile phone, any number of mobile apps. You can use Twitter Spaces if you'd like to through Zealous One, and you submit the RSS feed. Now, I will say there is a NaPodPoMo community. There is Web 2 and Web 3 when it comes to this. If we go to, I'm going to go here. I'm actually going to change the window here. So if I go to Facebook and I go to the community, it is going to be, and I'm probably going to have to search for it here. It's going to be the first thing that pops up because that's all I'm talking about these days. This is the NaPodPoMo community right here. You can join. Obviously, this is going on right now. And yeah, Carolyn, I don't know, you've missed, I don't see you anymore. So, and so you can see that people are coming in and they're chatting and we're talking and we're doing stuff. Things are happening. This is the share your RSS feed right here, where people will submit their RSS feeds, and then I will gather them together for the one feed. And I'll tell you that if we go to napodpomo.org, that this is the website for everything right here. So if you started at napodpomo.org, you'll see what it takes to get started, the history of it. Here's the getting started steps. It's very, very easy, purposefully so. And here I have the thing of the mega feed where it's coming soon and how it works and what you can expect. And if you were looking for the example of the 2021 feed, here's what it looked like last year. These are the feeds. Now, some of these feeds are ongoing because some people use their regular shows. So you'll see some stuff, but it'll just be the one feed that has everyone else's feeds in it. And if you're on the blockchain, Web3, last year we went to the blockchain for the very first time. For the very first time we went to the blockchain. I was like, will it blend? Will this work? Will it matter? Will anybody care? I don't know. And I didn't. I had no idea whether it would work or not. And yet I said, if you want to do this with me, here's the steps to do it. Here's the browser that I suggest. Here's how to download it. And if we go to the next thing, then it's like, here is the how to get your keychain. Here's how to sign up. Click this link. Here's where the community is right here. Here's how you can join. Here's all the stuff. Congratulations, you're here now. So I made it really easy that if you wanted to participate on the blockchain with NaPodPoMo and join the community, that you could, that it's very easy to do. As a matter of fact, if I click on this, it should take us there, I think. And yeah, I have found really great success here. And we're already getting folks who are starting to be active over here now. And you see here, share the RSS. Hey, it's coming. This is what's going on. They should be coming. And yeah, so if you're on Web 3 or you'd like to be on Web 3, you can. It's here. And I will be doing Web 3 specific sessions as we go. So here's all the places where you can be. And then, of course, there's the Facebook group, which is here. So everything at napodpomo.org is available to you, and it shows you how to go to the places, do the things, see the things. And then, of course, we're back here. So Carolyn, I'm not sure why we lost you.
I am not sure why. Well, I actually do think I know why. I have a personal page on Facebook and I have a public nonprofit work page on Facebook. And I got on there on a different page than the one I registered for.
Mm.
So this is a lesson for making sure with the new Facebook system, the way it operates, once you need to move to the page where you RSVP. Duh. Because I was like hearing you, actually, I was hearing everything and I was like, what? So there you go. But I did want to know, it's been a while since I thought about NaPodPoMo. And is there like a schedule or something? I liked all those hints. I made notes. But is there like day one, do this, or day 1 to 3, do you know what I'm saying? Like things to kind of do to get you to go. Was stepping back. I have a WordPress blog that I started back 11 years ago when I was in San Antonio. That's when I met you
Yes.
first.
I remember when we met and you were like, I've been thinking about doing this thing. And I was like, do it. Or you had just started doing the thing, whatever it was. And I
Yeah.
was like,
And
do
so
it.
I got the blog going. And so WordPress, like everything, has evolved over all this time. And then my templates have upgraded and my articles have increased. And so it's going really good. I have every year more than 100 nations are visiting. So it's really been great. But WordPress keeps telling me to get a podcast. Like it's like this regular note that I get that it'll, increase traction to my blog and blah, 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 blah. So that's why I am on today because I thought, well, I need to maybe think about it because I have done between 11 years ago and today, I've done a lot of public presentations. And so I have a lot to talk about now, and I have all that material on my blog. So that's why I'm thinking about a podcast. So we'll see what happens. I actually am the volunteer Twitter curator of Citizens Climate Lobby Austin chapter, CCLATX. And I love Twitter. I just love it. So I see your listings all the time and your chats and everything, spaces. And I really want to get people to do Twitter spaces for Citizens Climate Law because there's just so much going on. But everyone is afraid of Twitter that I know in that chapter. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
We're in Austin, pretty advanced thinkers here, progressive thinkers, but they just are like, we're afraid of Twitter.
Well,
So
but Twitter Spaces is a different animal. I can tell you that people who said, I'm never doing Twitter, or that they had left Twitter for years because of
Mhm.
Spaces, have come back and they're like, Twitter's completely different now. And they're
Yeah,
like,
and
this is
I love
amazing.
I am like the what, 1/4 of Americans who love Twitter because they get a lot of news on there. I get it real fast. I can whip through everything, see what's going on, and I'm set for the day, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
but I just haven't. In fact, I've wanted to get some of our elected officials on there to kind of talk through things and get some debates going. But so far, no one will do it. But my Twitter feed's going great. I've built it from 11 to over 600, and it's still going, you know, and it's local, national, and global in focus. So I really keep up with things. So we'll see what happens. I need some courageous people on there. But so anyway, but separately with nonprofit work, which is the main focus of my life and work, I would, I have been thinking about it because of the constant urging of WordPress,
Mm.
constant saying, do a
So
podcast.
you're saying that you would like a prompt, like a daily prompt for what to talk about on each
Well,
day,
in
as
November,
as a suggestion
well, as
for
no,
NaPodPoMo.
yeah, I think if there was just a list like, okay, well, week 1 of November, try this out. Week number 2, try this out. Do you need coaching? You know, like I might say, can I ask a question? And week 3, and then week 4, load it up to whatever platform. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like a little schedule for NaPodPoMo, where I could follow it and go, oh, I better get busy and do week number 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I'm just saying, like it's great to have the whole month just generally like do a podcast and everything. You know
Sure.
what I'm
You know, I've never done a prompt because I've always thought of people doing having a mission for their podcast and wanting to just speak what that was, but I had never considered that maybe even just the idea of what to podcast about was an intimidation or maybe a reason why people wouldn't. Whereas if there were prompts where they're like, okay, I know I need to just talk about this, that
saying?
might be something that would encourage them to do it. So that's very helpful, Carolyn. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just a little calendar, like, well, it's like not hard and fast, but like the steps, baby steps. Okay, we got week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. We know we have a holiday in there, but just kind of like try these things out, ABC for week
Mm-hmm.
1. Like you,
Yes.
I bookmarked the Podbean, and you know, I just have to try the system. You know what I was going to ask also is if you, where is that control on iPhone for the voice control? You know, the voice
Could
quality.
you, so could you hear the differences as I was doing
Yeah,
that?
I
It's a,
could.
it's amazing, isn't it? Okay,
Yeah.
so if you're looking at your phone and the upper right corner, if you swipe down diagonally down to the lower left corner, you'll see the menu pop up for your phone. And at the very top right, it should say mic mode. And
Oh, okay.
if you've never done this before, it's going to be in standard. But if you click that, it'll give you the option for voice isolation and apparently not wide spectrum anymore. Because I'm like, why would anybody use wide spectrum? It sounds terrible.
Okay. Hold on. Are you there still?
I am.
Okay. I have to work on that. I think with my reset of my phone, I need to set up my screens and what's included on that page. But I do see exactly where that is because that's one of my favorite tools is on there, the flashlight mode.
Yes.
So yeah,
Well,
I'll.
I use the screen recording on there too. I added that as a button because sometimes I need to do demos or tutorials.
Yeah.
And so I'll be able to click that and then just screen record. And I enjoy that a lot. So yeah, customizing your menu is big. So yeah, so okay, NaPodPoMo. I've hopefully showed everyone that using the tool that you already have, you own your smartphone, your mobile device, and then get the considerations for environment or even settings that are on your phone are the way to go. Carolyn, you've brought up such a good point about creating prompts. Really love that. Hadn't done it, but it's a good idea, and I will do it this year. I've shown everyone that where they can find everything. Let's see, napodpomo.org. And then folks can either join here on Facebook. They can join. They can use the hashtag on Twitter, or if they want to, if they're on Web3 or want to do Web3, the links are on there. How to sign up, where to find the community, what to do. All of those things are there. And so the key thing is just to go to the Facebook group or even to the community on Hive, or even on Twitter, if you want to say, I'm going to do it. Because some people prefer Twitter, like they just use the hashtag NaPodPoMo, and that's kind of where they hang out, and everybody just follows everybody there. And then, of course, we have the Facebook group, and some folks like to hang out here. And then, of course, there's now the community on the blockchain on Hive, and some people hang out there. So I'm not limiting anybody where they prefer to hang out. I'm not telling them you have to come to Facebook in order, and because some people that is not their thing, they are never going to come there. So I'm just like, okay, if you're here, do this, and if you're here, use this, and if you're here, use that. So it's totally meant to be something that's liberating, and the centering force is, of course, the feed and the fact that we're all participating in this challenge. So the getting started is you're already prepared and well versed for what you need to do. You have the equipment, you're ready to roll. You can use all these free apps. There's a lot that you can do. And really, that's why it's the getting started aspect of it. Is there anything in the getting started, Carolyn, that you think maybe I missed?
No, that was great. Oh, great. I'm looking at the live chat and I see your links. I did want to know about the Zealous dot
I
one.
had a call with the developer of Zealous yesterday, and holy
Wow.
cow, there's a lot. I wish I could share more of what's coming, but this is big. So the key on Zealous, and we'll talk about it in a future thing, is that you can create your playlist. In essence, what is a playlist? Because when I looked at if I looked at me on Zealous, I talk. It's not just me as someone who hosts the shows. It's also me if I spoke on a show. So it's this whole
Mhm.
hodgepodge of all of me, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't want a hodgepodge of me going out to a podcast. And he's like, oh, well, just create your own, in essence, what it is, your own show, and use the hashtag. And it's like, okay, Web3 101, that's a series I would like to become a podcast. And he's like, okay, then what you do is you create it, and then you go and click the episodes that are that, and then you tell it to copy, or if you wanted to move them. I said, no, I kind of like that all of me is in one place. I don't want it not to be there, but for a podcast, especially for a NaPodPoMo podcast, I wouldn't want all of me to be there. I want to be very specific. And he said, yeah, you just create the new, what in essence is a playlist. He goes, and then you just copy those episodes that you want to be in that playlist. He goes, and then you go to that playlist, and there's everything that you copied, and it has an RSS feed. And I was like, this is amazing.
Very
So yeah.
good. Well, you're going to post this chat recording, and so with these chat notes and links
Yeah,
afterward.
this is being live streamed.
Okay.
So all of the mucking about where I was like, why isn't this working? What about this? That's in there too. Fast forward, just fast forward to when it actually gets started, and then you can, fast track through that. But yeah, I
Okay.
was live streaming it from the get-go. When you and I first started talking, we were just catching up. That was being
Mhm.
live streamed. So that's on Facebook, that's on Twitter, that's on YouTube, that's on LinkedIn, and that's on Web3. It's on Vim. So it's all those places. Now, the nice thing is that on YouTube, and on LinkedIn, and even on Twitter, I can go and cut that front part and have it start at the time that the show started. So that's kind of nice. I know on Facebook, I haven't been able to do that. So that's kind of a frustration factor. And if it's there, I haven't found it. By the way, if somebody knows where you can edit the start time on your Facebook live stream videos, please let me know.
Yeah, I do not know that.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Carolyn, for joining. I totally appreciate you for being here live. For everyone who's watching this in the replay, please know that there will be other sessions like this as we lead up to, because today is October 15th, which means we are exactly 15 days away from the start. No, not 15, 16 days a start from November 1. So we're a couple weeks. In a couple weeks, this is all going to kick off. I'm going to do another training session that's going to talk a little bit more about some of about Web3, actually, because I know some folks are kind of intimidated by that. They're like, oh, that sounds good, Jennifer, but I don't know about that. So I'm going to do a Web3 specific session next, and then we'll be kicking it off soon enough, because time's going to go by really quickly.
Okay, well, thank you for doing this. I'm still learning, but I really love the idea of podcasting, even if I'm just talking to myself, recording it and sharing it.
Yes, right. Had you not shown up here, I was still going to do this because it's evergreen, and it can
Hmm.
be something people can find later.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times folks get intimidated by that. Like if you're going to do a Twitter space and you're having it recorded, you're like, but nobody's here. It's not necessary. It's great if people join, yes, but it's also the evergreen aspect of what you have to say. And
Hmm.
if you were doing a podcast to your computer, using software, no one's there anyway. So think about that aspect of it. The fact that folks show up is, bonus to what you were going to do anyway.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, I have
Awesome.
another meeting. I'm going to head over there.
Yep.
I really appreciate all these links and insights. So that gives me more confidence.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we're going to close out. Wish you well and go to napodpomo.org to get all the goods. All right. Talk to you later, Carolyn. Bye.
Thanks.